As announced, I have a special guest, Elisabeth Paehtz. Elisabeth, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, so we are glad to have you here. Just a small introduction. Elisabeth was a world youth junior champion, European medalist. I think also it's a big relief that during FIDE Congress you got this deservedly GM title next to your name. Is it some kind of relief for you?
Yes, it was in this period emotionally not very easy to cope with all these troubles around the norm. So, of course, once it was accepted, also my chess became a lot better. So I started to win back a lot of rating again. So I think it had some positive effect.
Yeah, of course, you all your life you devoted to chess, and now you have the highest title. European Individual Women Championship is taking place. Now it's last round. I would say that the fighting spirit is unbelievable high. You, of course, is some kind of European chess, women chess role model. You know the players, you played against them. What's your thoughts about this event?
Well, actually, I saw a lot of nice pictures from my, I think 3 or 4 Germans, or even more Germans are playing in this tournament. So I saw a really nice picture. It looked like a really nice place, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit like you can feel jealous to see the sunny weather and all these nice colors of nature. And of course, I was hoping that some of the Germans would qualify. And as far as I think, maybe Dinara has a chance if she wins, because she has a good tiebreak. But I'm not sure how many are already qualified and ahead of her. So, but my feeling was maybe, better that she has a chance if she wins.
Yeah, I think also I agree. But once again, let's say to comment this fighting spirit, unbelievable high. Somehow during open tournaments and men's section, we see that players are sitting or their results, but here there are more wins with black pieces than draws in total, which is unbelievable high.
For me, actually, the surprising fact is because I was, of course, already checking the openings, especially the German games, and they're still playing, and for the last round, it's very common that a lot of draws are fixed after 10 minutes, but as far as I know, everybody's still playing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we are just so much surprised. We are praising how players are behaving, how motivated they are. So this is, I would say, a memorable event. Let's say that the tournament in New Delhi was not clashing with this event. I guess you would participate, right?
Well, actually, like the dates in general with the European Championship and the Grand Prix events were always very, very close together. This was one problem. And when you are not 22 but 38, let's say like me, it's from the energy level very difficult. And honestly, like if the dates would have been, or if I had been listed for the last Grand Prix in Poland, now I think it's in Cyprus, I likely would have played, because this way I would also give another German a chance in case I qualify, that the wild card goes to someone else. But yeah, it wasn't possible.
But how do you comment that we have this situation when the dates are clashing? Because of course you would like to see you in this event. It would be of course a little bit better from, let's say, some kind of interest. I don't know, local organizers have said that they announced their schedule for a long.
Yes, the schedule was definitely ahead of New Delhi, because for Delhi I remember like 3 months ago, because I kept asking Harika, she said like that it will be the first week of April. In this case it was possible, but even then you had like a break of 1 or 2 days. It's also not ideal. But for example, like to comment directly on this, I mean, Nino Batsashvili, she was supposed to play in the European, she got the white card for the Grand Prix, but she's not qualified. And I'm not sure that she is the one to get the wild card, because, okay, depending on if Nana is like qualifying by rating or not, but she, for example, would be the one who had to take a very difficult decision to choose between those 2 events. And just by looking at this particular one case, I think it was not ideal to collect these events.
I understand. Yeah, so I was visiting Grand Prix in Munich, and for me, I was quite impressed by Hotel Kempinski, by the conditions in general. So I was quite proud that you great women players who we all tend to support publicly. Last year was FIDE Women in Chess year. So I was expecting that some positive things are about to come, but then suddenly we have this big dispute. What's going on in New Delhi? Since you came from that place, can you tell us more what's happening there?
Well, I think it was a collection of a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and it's not like that you can say that things went wrong in Delhi. Of course, some circumstances went, for example, in a very unfortunate way. I mean, Chansaya was not picked, but the thing is like that there was a main guy in charge, but I understand that after 40 hours of working non-stop, he has to sleep. And then they took someone else in charge, but then, of course, the phone number which Chansaya had was not corresponding to the phone number of the new guy, and that's why actually there was no reaction. So this was very unfortunate, and I'm not even sure like you can blame someone for that particular. So that was one sad point. The other point was the hotel was very confused, but you also have to take into account that there was another sports event, so the hotel was pretty much outbooked. And if you have a lot of sports competition in one tournament, it's maybe easy even for the hotel to confuse which sports people belong to which federation or to which sports. So this is for me not easy to judge, but I think the general problem is not like that things went in an unfortunate way. The general problem is that some of the girls kept like really deep and uncomfortable emotions already like long time beforehand. It was not India. It was actually something which I would say was developing during the Corona pandemic, when a lot of professionals like women couldn't earn money. And I remember like in 2021 when 2 of the top 10 players approached me and said like, Lisa, how you can actually survive financially? And I said like, I give lessons. And they said like, well, we cannot give lessons because we never did this, and we don't even know how to select pupils. So this was like something which was already like a problem from the financial part or financial point of view for women players to actually like make a living during Corona. And then you see, of course, all these top internet events in the men's section. And of course, I mean, I understand that some of them were pretty unhappy and sad about it. Plus, I remember that some organizational stuff went not in a good way during the candidates, because there were suddenly this new format and these new groups. And of course, when you have like 8 players, it's not like that everybody is happy with changing the format. And I mean, statistically speaking, when you have, let's say, 3 favorites by rating, and suddenly, like, instead of playing a round robin with 2 matches against each other, you have to play a KO system, then of course it usually serves those who are not necessarily the top favorites and those who are maybe even like good rapid players. So I understand that this format change is not good for everybody, but on the other hand, I don't see like there was a choice because of the general conflict, because of the war basically. So it was very tough, the situation, because in the men's section, there are no Ukrainian players in the top 10, but in the women's section, we have 2 top 10 players. And I can tell you, because I spoke to these 2 girls, they are like really like suffering tremendously. And so do also the Russian female players. They suffer a lot, and it's a very difficult situation. And unfortunately, I also don't see a solution. Like you cannot find an ideal solution for everybody. And
yeah, they were missing in New Delhi, right? This is something which not all the people know, that they were not coming to play in India. But in general, let's say Grand Prix as a concept, do you support this type of event?
Well, actually, like for me personally, like I don't understand why it cannot be the same format like with the men, when you have this kind of groups, and then if you don't win a group, you can go home. This has the advantage, if you play a bad tournament, it's a lot shorter. And also, when you have a family and some of the girls actually have a couple of kids, maybe it's also for them a better way. But I remember they made a poll of the top 10 players, and the poll was one for the round robin system. So that's why, I mean, the majority of the top lady players, they preferred the round robin system, and that's why we kept the same format like in previous years in the women's competition.
So I was visiting, actually doing a commentary job during Monaco candidates. It was Hotel Hermitage, top location, top level of service. Then Hotel Kempinski in Munich. So as I said, I was quite impressed. Looking to forward to new events. To a new level for top players. Then we have this situation in India. Tournament director Bharat Singh was mentioning that during the regulations, FIDE actually stated that a 4-star hotel is enough, but this was a 5-star hotel. That he thinks that the main issue was not connected with hotel, only with this transfer issue, and that there are something behind. You already mentioned a few things during COVID case. So what's happening? Because some people think that this is like a drastic measure that you left the tournament. Why you did it?
Well, actually, like my reasoning of leaving the tournament had actually nothing to do with Chanzaya's reasoning, because I mean, if you hadn't been there, you have no idea what emotionally kind of disaster and fights and tears and panic attacks those lady players had to face in these 2 days after like Chanzaya left. And of course the first question was, do we put another fourth Indian player? And I understand Russians will say like this would be not fair, because okay, 2 of the Russian or 3 of the Russian girls in the general standings, they are leading. And also for Bibi Sara this was unacceptable because it was a first round opponent, and when FIDE said like it's no problem, we can play with 11 players, then the next problem arose about color distribution. Yeah. And then of course, some players who had 4 times white and 6 times black, they were, of course, insisting on making a new pairing, especially one player. And I understood this player very well because she was one of the leading players in the all-over standings. And there was another player who was totally against the pairing change because she was also one of the leading players in the standings. And when the majority at the end was like in favor of changing the pairings, and one single player decides to make an ultimatum, a blackmail, and a kind of, I would call it like, even it was, to me it felt like some kind of manipulation. Then it's very difficult to handle this when you have like 4 or 5 emotional women and there is nobody to take final decisions, and you get a letter from FIDE, we change the pairings, and then you get a letter from FIDE, we don't change the pairings. And of course this was for me a shock, like that someone can just like do whatever like she thinks is good for her, and she doesn't care what is good for the others. And we had at least 3 players who would have 6 times black, and from these 3 players, 1 actually cared very much. The other ones were already like saying whatever happens is fine for them, because they just wanted this kind of emotional outbreaks to stop, which I understand very well. But you know, for me, I'm very, let's say, principled in a way, and I see my sports as a kind of fair competition. And if someone basically says she withdraws from the tournament if the pairings change, and then she gives reasons like that she insists on having the same conditions like Kostyuk had in Munich, then I'm wondering how she can speak of the same conditions like in Munich when she's actually playing 1 game less. Because in India it was already clear that we will not play 11 games but 10 games. That was one thing. And then there was another player who decided to attack on social media in a very bad way, Chanzaya. And in addition to that, also like stated that basically like since I composed the letter and she claimed that she never signed the letter, she basically says like that I'm lying because I put her on the email without her permission. And for me, this was another kind of affront and attack. And I'm 38, I'm not 22, and I'm very, very sensitive. And when I understand that I'm crying and that I have these outbreaks, and suddenly like there's a tournament and you have to just forget about this, then in my kind of personality, I'm not so strong to overcome that. And
I don't want to that you feel so hard now during this interview, because we have this final round. We have players fighting for the title. I fully understand that this emotional part can be tough for you. As I admire you as a player, respect you. Let's say that just to conclude this story with one thing, FIDE president made an apology. In FIDE we have Athletes Commission, we have Women Commission. Did you expect some support or at least some activity from their side in this case?
Well, I think that, I was very happy about this letter. It was very nice to see that they would be more careful in future. And it was, of course, a huge thing. You cannot say this letter means nothing. This letter meant a lot in my opinion. And as I said, FIDE was not the reason I left. I left because basically of two players and my sense of sportiveness and fairness and my emotional sensitivity. But I think one of the biggest problem was that there was no FIDE official in the tournament, and with all these kind of fights which arise after Chansraya left, the only chance I saw to solve it is if there would have been someone from FIDE who would just take a strict decision and not allow all these kind of blackmails, withdrawing blackmails, manipulations, emotions. And if you have 11 women players and they are of course all kind of different of sensitivity, different of emotions, then it's a kind of I don't know how you call it, but it's very tough because we tend to be more emotional in general. That's why I think the problem was not solvable.
I understand. I understand your point. Of course, it's I would say the drastic measure that you leave the tournament. But let's speak about future. What can we do in future? And I don't know, somehow to not to avoid this type of situation. Do you have you just said that the FIDE official might be present. Maybe this communication was not the best. I was in Chennai Olympiad. For me, was memorable. I really appreciate how they were doing. But of course, on the other side, we don't want to those situations to repeat.
Yes, but Chennai was the best Olympiad we ever played. This was just outstanding and out of the planet. And now in New Delhi, I think a lot of unfortunate circumstances came together, like the main guy who needed to sleep, which I understand, and then the phone number wouldn't correspond then. So, I wouldn't even blame anyone official because this is just unfortunate. And the hotel who confuses everything is another thing which is not in the power of the Indian Federation. But in general, when you list all these things together, I think one of the biggest problem was for a lot of top women players is the financial situation and the pressure they faced during the corona pandemic. And even now, when you look, for example, at the distribution of money prizes in the Grand Swiss, then you see that the first prize in the men's and the women's section differ for more than 200%. And then you wondering why the distribution is made like this. I understand it's double when you have the double number of participants. That's normal, but we speak about more than 200%. Plus, then there is some happy announcement of FIDE that they increase the prize fund by another, I don't remember how much. But then you see that even the increase in the prize fund is distributed not in the equal way. And this, of course, for some women's players, it feels not nice, let's put it this way. And I think this in connection to the fact that it was very tough years during Corona, of course, I think built up some emotional negativity inside them. And in India, I think the summary of all these events just escalated.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. What are your personal goals? Now you are GM, okay, you have this confirmed title. What are your next goals in your career? You mentioned your age. Are you still motivated, eager to become, for example, even world champion?
Well, I mean, to become world champion is a huge step, but actually, like, since in Munich already and in the leagues, I saw that I'm going back towards, I mean, direction to 5. Plus, I had a sponsor now who basically puts a lot of motivation in me. I mean, my goal was actually to return to 2.5 plus this year, but I understood that for this, everything must fit in my case, because I am very sensitive, and this is one of my biggest weaknesses, I would even say, but it's how it is.
Yeah. Okay, Elisabeth. Maybe some last words for the championship, for ECU, future of European chess, women chess. Any tip for players? There are some young players. We remember Olivia Klobasa. She was doing fantastic job in India. We need those role model. How to brand European women top players?
Well, actually, like, I have been watching Olivia a lot since Chennai, and also there are a lot of talents coming actually from the Netherlands, like Elena Röbers, but she's not playing in this event. So actually you can see that from the European players, and especially the Western European players, there is something coming, and this is very nice to see. So in general, like, you know, sometimes I believe that if you have these kind of extraordinary, like, young talents, maybe there is a kind of possibility even for FIDE to support them, to get them in some kind of professional training camps. I know that FIDE organizes some training camps with Geldfund, Yusupov, and these kind of players. I mean, like, to give some of the access stuff like this. I mean, I think this would be a nice way to support them and to motivate them to climb further.
Yeah, you are experienced. You can maybe share and help for future generation. Okay, thanks a lot. I think viewers are now quite satisfied. Probably many questions would land if we allow that, but I understand that you are still tired, right? Emotionally, physically. There was now actually today is Iceland Reykjavik Open taking place. Maybe some people thought that you will go there, but of course.
Actually, they invited me, but I said to him that I have temperature actually since 2 nights, and for me, like, I'm too exhausted. I'm a bit sick, so and I mean, I left because I'm not capable of, like, all this stress plus this unfairness and the approach of some players. So I need a rest, and I think I need a rest for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Iceland president Gunnar Björnsson would be happy to have you, but he for sure
he invited me, and it was a very nice. It was a very touchy.
Yeah.
It was a very touchy invite.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with everything. Hopefully you will recover. Hopefully we will get back to normal in women chess tournaments. We are keeping our fingers crossed for you all. As I said, from outsider, I would like to see that in future we all have, like, only positive things in chess world. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.